name's Jamie Lee. Welcome to In the Front Row. Today we're doing another panel of Secret Invasion Episode 3. I'm joined by my panel, John, Tyrone, Don, Jace will be here soon, and Tamika. How are we going, guys?
Tamika Samuel L says hello.
Start it over. Let's go from the top.
All right. Let's not talk about any more sport. Jamie's mind is about to blow. Let's get straight into Marvel Secret Invasion. So we open up episode 3 with Beto. I think his name is Beto, talking to I think his name's Pagon, about does he think that this is going to work? Is the chaos going to come? And he says, why did you join this cause? Like, why did you join us? And he doesn't want to keep running. He doesn't want his people to keep running. So he joined the cause. And then he talks about how all faith is built on risks, and basically to trust the cause. So that's how we open this episode. And then he assigns them, obviously, the Navy officers so that they can go and infiltrate this attack that they're about to plan. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Any thoughts on that?
Right. I mean, really, my only thought was at that moment was what the hell's going on? Just because we don't know, we have that's sort of a new storyline that's kind of being introduced at that moment. So, but yeah, I just was kind of wondering where that was going to go. I do like where it eventually went. But yeah, we also opened with with him, with Fury and his wife.
Mm-hmm.
That was
98.
awesome.
Yep.
And
a little bit later, yeah.
Yeah, that was. Oh, that is second, right? I'm sorry, I'm getting out of order.
No, that's okay. I was just going to do it in order. We can jump in.
Yeah. No, I thought it was before. That's why I was bringing it up. So that's my fault.
No, you're good. You're fine. After that, we have Gravik enter that. I don't know what you want to call that machine or that weapon, but he enters that dome, I guess.
Yeah.
And then the members of the council come in and he says to them that, here we go, Jason wants to arrive. That's what he says, Jace.
Jason,
welcome to episode 3.
How you doing?
Good.
That's good. We're just talking about the scene where Gravik comes into the chamber where they were experimented on in the lab, I guess you could say. And the members of the council come in and he tells them that, he wants them all to come to the cause and be the weapons of mass destruction. Oh my God.
Destruction.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jace.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for coming. Weapons of mass destruction and become super skrulls. So what about that scene?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a crazy thing to think of. Like, just them having superpowers and super skrulls and shit like that. Like, it's just very ambitious of him, to be very honest.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, they already have super strength compared to humans. So
yeah,
you're adding that on top of that. It's like, all right, well, so you're going to make a super strong Skrull that's already stronger than a human. Like,
yeah,
no, I don't want that at all.
Yeah, it kind of like one thing that it made me think of. I was like, man, I already kind of thought they were already OP because we can't even figure out who the heck is who. And I'm like, all right, now you're gonna add on this. Like now that's why we'll get into it later. But I'm like, this is such a big deal in the MCU. I was sort of shocked that it's gonna be reduced to 6 episodes. Maybe it isn't. Maybe they're gonna kind of continue and it's gonna go on. But I'm like, this is such a big deal that it's like, this is an Avengers level threat, right? Like, this is not a this is not a 6 episodes thing. So that's why I was kind of like,
thing I was thinking this whole time is, if they're going to do this and they pull this off, you can't not get the Avengers involved. You can't not get them involved.
Oh, for sure.
But it's
Well,
just like they
they've been
said,
bringing in the Avengers like at least 3 to 4 times in this show already.
Yeah.
So they're really banking on that. But as Tyrone said, like they're treating the Avengers as if the Avengers are the threat, but like they're the threat, like, and if he's got this member of the council who he wants them to become the super Skrulls, but who's to say that other Skrulls can't get a hold of this, thing?
Well, the way he made it sound was he wants every Skrull to be a weapon. So 1 million weapons of mass destruction with different powers just running around.
And that's what scares me, because how does he think that he can control all of them? Like, he can control all of them now, but what about when they can overthrow him, So it's Yeah.
Well, he can't control him now because Talos is like, yeah, I get what you're saying, and I somewhat agree with you, but no, this is not how I want it to be done.
Right.
Like, this is not right what you're trying to do. So yeah,
And I guess the people that are living in his community, like under him, maybe don't know the actual cause, you know, like they don't know what he's intending to do. They probably just assume he wants to find them a new home.
It kind of gave me this hint of like MLK versus Malcolm X kind of approach, like of like, all right, like we want to do this in the sense of like, not obviously that's not like 1-to-1, but like in the sense of like typically how we like look at those two figures of like one person is like, I want to empower my people and like take control versus this other one who's like, let's like work together, be more peaceful.
Sure.
And so that's kind of how I was sort of looking at it. But I just think that like they're so overpowered, like you already said, that it's like it's just the council's kind of looking at this like, hey, we're just looking for a home, man. Like, you know, like you have other plans that are just not even on our radar. And I think
they look really scared in that moment when he tells them what he wants to do. They're just like, wait a minute. Like,
and so and that's what I was
for this. We're not nowhere even prepared mentally for this.
Yeah, and I think to back up what you were trying to say, Jamie Lee, is like it's like I think his threat is that he's willing to kill, right? They may not be willing to kill. And I think that sort of separates some people sometimes is like how far you're willing to go. And we already know the Avengers, that's not how they operate. So I think that's sort of why he's such a threat, you know?
Sure.
And that gets mentioned up a little bit later when they're in the museum talking about the painting. So we'll bring up that scene a little bit shortly too.
Yeah, I have some things about that.
So here is one quick question though. So they can turn into anybody, right? And they want to take over the world, and they want to cause chaos. How is not causing chaos the best way to cause chaos? Not to do it when the Avengers are like doing their thing in New York or whatever, like just turning into them and doing random stuff everywhere, like. Do you know what I mean? Like this just feels like way too late now. If that
because they can't, like they couldn't replicate their powers before. Now they can.
Well, I don't think they had to. If they just looked like did certain things, like you could beat Captain America still because all he really has, you can use super strength and beat Captain America. And like, I mean, there's just ways I think they could have used their chaos plan in different ways before this that. It just kind of feels like, well, now we're getting to it. Like,
it's kind of like Falcon and the Winter Soldier series where it was like God, I can't remember his name, but like the super soldier dude, like he was so awful that like it sort of gave them a bad look. So I kind of get what you mean, Don, in that sense, like where it's like they didn't necessarily have to make like the worst thing. It's like if you see Robert Downey Jr., Iron Man, like. Not helping a lady cross the street, you kind of go, "What's up with him?" You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or
but don't they need
push an old lady down? You get that on camera. That's a big thing for an Avenger to have to do.
But don't they need their bodies though? Like we've seen, they had the bodies
that
of these
might be
humans.
Okay. That's true.
To replicate,
because they did say in last episode where Fury said, "I don't want them here because then they can take their bodies." So maybe they do have to be present. Okay.
Yeah, they shouldn't come.
I think they have to take, like, if they just want to take their image, their face or their body, they can do it instantaneously because we do see that with Gaia in this episode. She takes over the man with the cell phone. But I think if they want the memories and things like that, that's when they put them in that little incubation thing
that's true.
and get them memories.
Makes sense.
That's fair. Okay.
I think also too, sometimes we assume that everyone that's in their universe knows Iron Man and knows what he can do and all that stuff. But like we saw with She-Hulk, that like when Daredevil was walking around, no one really recognized him, or I don't know if that was just supposed to be like a comedy thing, but like to me, even sometimes with Spider-Man, like you'll see when they have these crossovers where people just don't really recognize these superheroes. So I'm not quite sure. And I think that's something maybe Marvel should improve on is like, how does the regular everyday sort of character like sort of respond and recognize some of these superheroes, because I think that's sort of unclear at times. It's almost like these fights are happening within this like little universe or something. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And then so we move on from there, and that's when we go to the scene that Don was talking about earlier in 1998. 1998 when we meet
Fury's
young
wife.
young Fury, and we meet his soon-to-be wife. She hands him this envelope, and she says something like that this should put Dracov's men off your heels,
Yeah,
or something along those
like
lines.
that. Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe I'm speculating, but that link into the Dracov that's in Black Widow. Don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I would assume there's a connection.
yeah. So she, and then
or it
she
could just at
ends,
least show that they've been gathering intel on him for a while.
Right.
Mm.
Like it definitely is the same person, and then just trying to tie it into the universe. I think
That makes sense.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming and sharing some love. I appreciate that. We love you. Yeah. So, and then she ends their little introduction, which I honestly thought was very brief. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more about that, but anyway. And she ends that with, "I don't work for you, Fury." And I thought, when we got to the end of that episode, I was like, cool. Okay, is she, because this whole episode was called like Deception or
Betrayal.
Betrayal.
Yeah.
And I thought, ooh, is she, like not on Team Fury? So I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking again, like last week.
Heartbreak does things to a lady.
I don't think you're
I think in that moment they were flirting. I think the betrayal came after he left, like she said. I think that's when she turned.
Oh yeah,
Late.
100%.
Yeah, in that moment, they're definitely flirting like spies would flirt. Like they're
that's what I was gonna say. I think that's exactly what that was. I think that's exactly what that was just them flirting as spies and trying to be incognito while also still, getting their flirt on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and she's able to do that now because they don't work in the same operation, is what she's saying. But then at the end of the episode,
like I don't work for you anymore. Like, oh, okay, like you're not my boss.
We can
now.
get it on.
HR won't be involved.
But also,
I
it's
could
a
be
nice
a different
thing
boss now.
just show them like actually feeding Fury information and like seeing how long that they've actually been, helping him. As they later on say, but ascend the ranks, but like just helping him throughout all these years and how long they've actually been doing that.
Which is a very interesting thing when we get to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they move on from that to the present day where she says, Fury says that he's retired, and she said that she never harbored any ill illusions about him going away, but when he stayed away, like that left a mark. So obviously bringing up the fact that he's been gone before, which was not his fault, but this time it was voluntary. He decided to go away and stay away. So that was a little bit upsetting. And then he questioned her, asking if she's been in touch with Gravik. So he obviously senses that something is a little bit off, and he's trying to question, he's a little bit suspicious of things.
Which
so
she never answers.
She doesn't, does she?
Yeah.
No,
Typical woman, avoid the question.
She completely avoids the question and turns the table back on him, trying to fucking get and start the fucking fight pretty much.
But he also had his glasses on. So I'm thinking, did he have his glasses activated? And that's why he's asking her all these questions. Like, can he sense some heartbeat? Like, you're lying to me? Like, what is the deal?
Yeah.
I'm sure Fury can definitely tell that she's lying.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you get a phone call from a guy and you don't even question who it is.
I don't have that information on hand.
Yeah, like that's not suspicious.
But then all of a sudden it's over and she goes in, gives him a kiss.
Yeah.
Oh,
Don't
yeah.
worry about
leaves the phone there. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know now. I think Fury, they really hurt the character of Fury with that conversation, though. I really do. It sucks because I love Fury so much.
Really?
Yeah, because they're basically saying he's overblown. He's basically saying, we did all that. You didn't do any of that. We did all of that.
No, I don't think that's what it is.
That's exactly how
No,
he said
that is not what it is.
I think that was...
did it with our help.
Correct. Yeah, I think it's like I think because when you think about Fury, he's kind of like the big swinging. He's all like it's all me and like the Avengers are my puppets, and they're like, bro, yeah, but we also helped you get there. We helped you get to this spot.
Yeah, but the way he's like, do you remember this?
No one does it.
He's like, do you remember this? We did this. Do you remember that? We did
they
this.
did. They helped him get those.
We did the work. You were just got the credit for it all.
But Don, what if the Avengers said the same thing to him? It's true. You know, it doesn't mean that he's not the captain. Doesn't mean he's not the quarterback. Doesn't mean that he's not the one, you know, planning and putting people where they need to go, because you need that person. That person is really important. But I think that's all that was. And also, I think he was a little pissed because it was kind of like, hey, here I am going against my people, trying to help you, trying to do the right way, and you're kind of dismissing me. So I think it was kind of like let me check you for a second.
It's like you have to at least recognize what we have done for you.
Yeah.
No one's and he even says it later on in the conversation. No one's doubting that you are a brilliant man and a brilliant mind. But you did not do this on your own.
Right. Because that's sort of that hero's journey thing, right? Of like,
it just felt like he was flat out just being like, look, you have this name and this clout about you, and everybody knows what you did, but no, we really did that for you behind the scenes. Like, we were there.
He's the head of a secret organization, and he has 19 people 20 people, that he can just send anywhere he wants and just be the face that they want him to be. Of course, that's like they're doing all the heavy lifting, but they're doing it because he's given them the intel and set them up for that success to get him that intel. Does that make sense?
Okay. What I want to add to that, Jace, is I think that it's also important to remember that like Fury is sort of in this space where he's thinking, "Oh, I'm still me from 20 years ago. I can do things on my own. I can move my own way." And they keep saying over and over, "Oh, you've lost a step. Oh, you're not doing this." And then even Rhodey comes up to him, if not even is Rhodey, but like kind of comes up to him and is like, is just like, dude, like the world has changed and you've been gone for all this time. Like, wake the fuck up, you know? Like, it's not just you. You have to work with other people. So I think that's more what it is, Don. But I get what you mean, where you're like, okay, like, hold on, this is Nick Fury. Like, let's not like
that. And that was my problem with it. Was like, I love Nick Fury. I know who Nick Fury is, and it's like, wait a minute, maybe he's not this guy. Like, that makes me mad.
But Don, he does end up helping him later, right? With where he's like, hey. Yeah, that's what I thought. You know what I mean? Sure. So I do think that they kind of bring it back a little bit, but I get what you both mean.
Oh, yeah. Like, I wasn't trying to make it sound like he was nobody. I just was thinking that from that conversation, it felt more like he was now overblown, I guess.
No, I get you. I get you.
I think I get it. I think I get you, too. Like, this other guy, it's hard because we hold Nick Fury on his pedestal.
Right.
And to have somebody check Nick Fury is kind of like unsettling to us, and I kind of get what you mean.
Powers, like he's just a normal dude, but he is capable of some
all the
crazy
powers
things.
Up here.
Like when he said that, Tamika, I wanted to hear a motherfucker from him, you know?
But then again, I think too with this whole series, it's just showing us Nick Fury's vulnerability a little bit from the blip. Like he's kind of off kilter a little bit. He's trying to get himself back, but he's still Nick Fury. But he's kind of just a little bit off right now.
Well, it also speaks to just Samuel L. Jackson, man, as an actor, and just that he's bringing now that he's getting older and he knows he can't do certain things, he's bringing character to the character. Do you know what I mean? And it's just what he does. I mean, that's what Samuel always does. So
he's brilliant.
It's great. Yeah, he really is.
Yep. So we jumped ahead a little bit there. I was just talking about the scene with the wife phone, not the whole Talos fight. But we can jump ahead to that in a sec. But before that, there was a really, really good scene. I really enjoyed it, where Gravik talks with Gaia, saying that, you know, Talos has set up this meeting. He wants to have a chat, and they go to the museum and they have a chat about war, essentially, and basically saying that Talos is the statesman who just want to sit there and have their picture painted as this representation of peace, whereas he wants to be the soldier. And he even said, I would rather have I know which I would prefer, rather than my face painted in ink, I would rather it written in blood. You know, like he wants to fight, he wants to kill and fight for his people and what is right. And he believes that Talos is the opposite. He's the statesperson who just wants to, you know, have all the glory. And I thought that conversation was really, really good. And then they sit around the table and they have that argument about Gaia. You know, he says, I could have sent her to you in a body bag. And then we get the stab scene where he heals. So he's clearly already used this.
That was a good scene.
Yeah,
amazing. Hey,
my favorite scene in the episode was that whole conversation with them, and then the sit down with them. Just that whole scene is just great together.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
What about you, John? What did you think of that sequence there?
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I actually liked it But I also wanted to talk about, because I didn't get a chance to talk about something real quick.
Oh yeah.
Sure.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, it's okay. But the thing that I liked about the whole situation with Nick Fury, and of course, you're thinking that everything's all nice and fine because his wife's over there, she's doing dinner and everything at the end of the episode. You think everything's all hunky dory because, Nick's home. Nope. Nick's getting his balls busted in this episode by his wife, and she's like, "What do you mean that that you love me?" And all, basically just saying, "Where have you been? You were expecting me to be open to you, open arms with you. You've been gone for X amount of time." And so he's even getting heat from her. So he's getting heat from every direction that he can turn to. So he's like caught up in the middle of everything, and so. Yeah. You actually feel bad for Nick because of the fact that, he's getting hit left and right and he doesn't know what else to do, you know what I mean? So I like that kind of angle that they're playing with. And of course the spy thing between them two, the dynamic between that, I definitely liked it. Had this 007 kind of feel to it as well. And then going into this scene is just something that I really liked was the fact that, you're going to this whole entire espionage thing of not knowing who to trust as well. And and then him trying to figure this out though too. And of course the Skrulls are trying to take credit for some of the stuff that he's doing.
Yeah.
And so, but I understand from their side though, in a sense, because they feel like they've done something because of the fact that he hasn't been there for X amount of time. But therefore, it's like, well, I'm back now. Well, it's too late. I've done your job basically since you've been up in the space station.
Right.
So that's the way I looked at it.
Oh yeah.
They should have fell in line.
Yep.
Know your place.
Yeah, I'm the boss up here. If I want to take a vacation up in the space saver, I'm gonna take a vacation.
I've been working hard.
I'm Nick Fury.
I'm entitled to my
I'm gonna play some space golf, some miniature space golf over here. I'm just gonna relax. I'm not gonna worry about nothing.
Looked at his wife at that moment. Did you get blipped for 5 years? You ain't know what it's like.
Did you know what's
motherfucker?
Yeah.
I mean, I take that back.
My food ready, Skrull wife.
Where's my shoes?
I'm with Tyrone though too. I was like, I wanted a motherfucking thing from Samuel Jackson in that one scene.
Goddamn trolls on this goddamn planet.
Yeah.
All these motherfucking.
It's gotta happen at least once. They gotta give it to him once.
Where was she? Where was she for them 5 years? Was she faithful?
Deadpool.
What were you doing when I was gone?
Right.
Yeah. Why couldn't she have
for
gone
5 years you were crying on that pillow?
That is a good question, actually. Why
didn't
you
she go up on Saber?
Yeah,
like,
Nick doesn't mix work and pleasure.
Well, they're not even working together, so she could have went up on Saber with him.
I don't work for you, Fury. Isn't that the line that she just pulled?
Yeah, and he can say, "Oh, you should have been out there with me."
Yeah.
Why am I yelling
Turn it
like
back,
that?
Nick. Turn it back.
Defend your man.
I'm angry for Nick Fury.
Yeah.
He's got to be in Deadpool so we can get a motherfucker out of him. We have to get one out of him.
Yeah.
I know the best we're gonna get in this series is a mother cut to black.
Correct,
You know,
That's gonna be the ending of the season finale.
It is.
I want that.
Mother.
It'll be who's like a real Skrull, and it'll be the big reveal, and we'll get that moment there.
Right.
Everybody hates Nick.
That's a spin-off show.
Yeah.
You just see Talos as like his brother, like Raymond's brother. Oh, guys, what's up?
Yeah.
Only if Terry Crews is the dad, then I'll watch that. I'll definitely watch that.
Yeah, I mean,
What
did you?
That's one of the funniest people alive, man.
Nick.
Yeah,
Terry
he is
Crews
very
is
funny.
one of the funniest people alive, man.
You got to watch Tales of the Walking Dead episode 1, Don. He's in that, and there's only 3
Terry
characters
Crews?
in it. Yeah, and they just take the piss the whole time out of his build, out of the fact that he's like so built, and even he takes the piss out of it. It's just such a fun thing. He's such a
That's what he does. He is so good at being silly,
fun.
like silly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't care. He's so
pectoral
great.
muscles.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I
Like, that
actually
scene in
think
White
about-
Chicks when he's singing the song in the car is one of
Oh my
the
God.
funniest things I have
White chicks in this band.
because he just goes for it. Like, he just goes for it. I love that about
Yeah.
him. He don't care. He
Not
don't
white
care.
chicks. Oh my god. I'm
Yeah,
waiting
oh,
for
man.
two. I'm waiting for two.
I interviewed the girl that he worked with in that episode, Don, and she was talking to me about his personal life. And apparently, like, he's devoted to his wife. They've been married for like ridiculous amount of years.
Yeah.
He's a really good family man. Like, he builds furniture and stuff. Like, he's a really good dude, apparently. So yeah, it's so nice to see that in such a fake world. You know, someone that's such a genuinely good guy. Yeah, I really like
I
it.
need to
Anyway.
clone him.
Yeah. Sorry, I just love.
Yeah. No, go for it.
Everybody loves this is a great show too. Sorry.
And so is Everybody Hates Me.
All right, everybody hates Chris.
Everybody hates
And so is Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
9-9.
what did we think of that mass 9-9? Terry loves yogurt. What did we think of that scene where he got stabbed and Talos and Gravik are having that big off there?
So my first thought was it was really nice. Just the way Talos did not give a shit that those at first, he might have looked like he gave a shit that those people were in the room. He didn't give a fuck. He would have definitely killed him right there if he really wanted to. He didn't give a shit if he was walking out of there or not. Because he knew if at the end of the day, if he probably took out Gravik's right there, yes, our show would have been cut short, been terrible, but he could have dealt with the repercussions. Because either they would have killed him, and I don't think any of the people who were following him would have actually continued on it, because I don't think any of them have the sack that he does. And just Talos, just the way he is devoted to his daughter in that scene, just to be like, if you say her name one more fucking time, I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the actor himself, Ben Middleton. I mean, this is like a guy who, like, you know, he plays the villain a ton. He doesn't give a shit. Like, so it would not surprise me if, like, we find out later that this guy's him. Like he's just like comes out and like just absolutely kills everyone. You know what I mean? Like, and as we said in the beginning, right? Nick Fury's been going down this journey. He's like, hey, I've been there with you the whole time. So I'm not saying that him and Nick are eye to eye, but like, it almost sounds like he's Nick's hired gun, essentially, a little bit. And so that tells me he probably has some muscles. So I think he's looking at Talos almost like, listen here, little baby here. You know, like, I'm letting you walk. I'm not trying to be messy about this. Let's find a way. And so I think that could be a really good climax, but who knows? We'll see.
I think we're already getting to that
together for sure. He knows how to handle himself. There ain't no doubt about it.
Yeah.
I think he just needed that tipping point to get to the edge, because we see later on when they're doing that hostage situation and they're taking over Bob, as John's not very happy about that his name's Bob.
They picked the widest name that you could think
I love
of.
it though. It's so awesome. Just Bob.
Bob.
Come on, man. Leave Bob alone.
Yeah.
Bob from shipping.
Bob from FedEx. But yeah.
Bob from shipping. Yeah.
Bob
Yeah.
from State Farm.
What are you wearing,
God,
Kathy?
it's Bob the Builder. Get it right, folks.
Sorry.
What are you wearing, Khaki?
God, come on now. I left it open for all of you.
Yeah, no.
Oh,
Nobody
yeah.
got there until the end.
Yeah.
Jace, we got there in the end.
All right.
But yeah, they were leaning towards that anyway. We were getting to that tipping point because, you know, he was always so reserved and not wanting to kill the Skrulls. Even in episode 1, when Fury killed that guy, he's like, "No, I told you not to."
Right.
And then in
I
this
think
episode,
I think in that moment he was proving it to himself and Nick. Like it felt like he was more like
Wrong moment to prove yourself.
it was the wrong moment. I agree, but he kind of looks at Nick and then he just shoots the guy, like almost like he can, like, yes, I can do this, because Nick, you know, he said to him earlier, you might have to hurt some people of your own kind going forward
To get the answers that you're looking for.
I don't think he was ready. I don't think even in that moment when he did it, he wasn't ready, but he knew he had to make a choice, and I think
Maybe.
And it's also to make Nick try and trust him also, because, you know, they had the conversation before on the train and stuff like that. And then now he's like, well, I got to step it up somehow. So I need to show that I can at least get rid of my own species. It was just that wrong moment to do that because they're trying to save everybody from destruction. But at the same time, Talos is probably thinking, well, I could probably still get the information that I need, but just in a different way, because he still got the information. But
I thought it was a moment of like before Bob got shot, he said, "You're a shell of the person who you once were." So I thought it was that conversation of beforehand with Gravik saying, I could have sent you to her in a body bag. Like, the council doesn't even want you. Why would they pick you over me? That whole "you're not worthy, you're not good enough," and then Bob saying that he was the shell of the person he used to be. I personally don't know who he used to be as a Skrull. Like, he could have been this guy that Tyrone was just saying, this all-out beast that was like, a killing machine when it comes to war and protecting their people. And now he's being questioned for it. Like, somebody's saying, "You're not that anymore. You don't give a shit about us." So I thought it was that sort of ticked him like, well, I do. So here's what I'm going to do to show you that.
I think the difference is always, and with Talos, he was, I think the whole thing is he was Gravik's. Like, he at one point was Gravik. Like, he was this war driven, and I think that's what drove them to where their people were almost extinct and drove them to what happened to them, to their people. And I think Talos is trying everything he can to prove to himself, I think also, that this can be done peacefully. But I think it's finally reached this point where he like you guys say, he has to come to this realization, like, I need to divulge myself into that part of myself in order to get this done even peacefully.
Well, also
I think of the line where they said that it's not that we weren't able to be warriors, it's that we were too ready for war. We
too willing.
For too much. I think he comes from that, and he's trying not to be that. Right. I think that's exactly right. Yeah.
But I also feel like too, it's like a moment of not showing weakness either, of trying to show some dominance of like, okay, well, if you want this version of me, I'll do it. I'll be back and everything. It's like, I'm just going to use an example, like maybe like Tony Soprano whenever he got shot in the stomach, for example, and then he winds up knocking out this big old huge ass muscle bound dude just to show that he's not weak. So basically, this is basically like Talos. In a sense, well, I'm going to show that I'm not weak by doing this, because I can go gangster if you want me to go gangster. If you want me to go on that level, I'll go on that level with you. But I have to be pushed to a certain point to be that way. Yeah. But right now, I don't want to be that person because that's who I used to be.
Right.
But I will get there if I need to.
Like John Wick, but with his daughter.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
It feels like that's a really good point, John. It just feels like ever since he's been on screen, it just feels like people have been testing him over and over and over. And as I said, we know Ben Mendelsohn as an actor. Like, he's one of those actors that, like, it's a slow build, you piss him off, and then he goes crazy, he goes ham. So that's why I do think that there is some sort of build-up going on in the background that we'll see. But, I mean, I think Gravik – I also think Gravik is – a little over his head, his own head. I think he thinks he's a lot stronger. I think he thinks he's a lot more influential, smarter than he actually is, and I think that's ultimately going to be his downfall.
Of course,
I agree with you, Juan.
I think, and we'll get into it later, but I also think paranoia is going to start to set in really hard. This upcoming episodes, and he's not going to know who to trust and who's really on his side. I think this episode definitely perked up I think his paranoia and, like I said, his suspicions on everything.
Well, it's how do you navigate a world where everybody is a spy and is trained to lie and be manipulative?
Right.
Like, you never really know who you can trust, no matter how much you trust them.
It'll be interesting to see that parallel with Nick Fury too, because at some point he's going to start doing the same thing of like, I don't know who to trust. So you have sort of these two perspective of like the hero versus the antagonist and how their decisions will sort of define them. And I think that's why Talos is such an important character, sort of to ground Nick Fury, because I think Nick is almost kind of like Gravik. Like he does not mind. He'll off you right there. You know what I mean? So I think to have Talos reel him in, I think that's going to be a nice 1-2 combo there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. So I forget what scene we're up to, but did everybody talk enough about past that with the hostage situation, and we're shooting Bob, scraping his goopy purple brains off the carpet. We can talk about that.
Such a great
It's
line.
his
All I can think
line,
is
no
Prince, purple brains, purple.
Yeah, but can we go? Was this? Yeah, this was before when they were in the bar, and Talos asked Nick, if you want my help, basically
Say
begged
those
me.
words.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Oh
then
yes, we skipped over the one scene also with the British.
Oh yeah.
the
of
British
course.
lady.
Yes,
Yeah, well,
that was
I
really
thought with the
Oh
scene,
yes,
at
yes.
the scene at the bar, I thought, okay, is that really Nick? Is that a scroll? Because I don't
That's what I was
see
thinking
Nick
too. I
going.
wasn't sure at first.
I need
I
your
think you
help.
think everyone's a scroll.
Everybody's a scroll.
It
You
adds
guys
to
are
the
thinking.
credibility.
Negan thinks every
Everybody's
single
a
person you
scroll.
see is a scroll.
I'm just.
Nick is still in space.
everybody
Possibility.
is a
My theory is
scroll.
still possible.
Until they're innocent or proven guilty or whatever.
They're a scroll until proven otherwise. Until they die, and we can see
Yeah,
that
until
body
they
not
die,
change.
until they turn green, everybody is a scroll.
Also, I
I
know
think
that's like a hard rule that they said. It's like, you can only find out. Do you think that we're gonna see some sort of shift there, or is that sort of law? Because
So we're gonna come into. Let's get back to that later on when we talk about the one scene, because I have some thoughts on that.
Go
Okay.
ahead.
You want to
But it
talk about the
leads
Sonya
into
with the
everything.
owl? Is that what you're talking
No,
about?
I'm talking about later on with Graviks and Gaia. That's what I'm
Okay.
talking
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's go
Um,
back to we've talked at the bar. Tamika
Yeah.
doesn't think that that's Fury because
Everybody's a
he's
scroll.
too submissive.
I think we're going to find out near the end of this season or the end of this show that there were times where it was Nick. There were times where it wasn't Nick. There were
Yeah.
times
Yeah.
where it was
Yes.
Talos. There are times when it wasn't Talos.
There are
I
two
think
of
that's
them.
how
I
they're
agree.
going to play
There are two
it.
of them. Mhm.
Yep.
Okay.
I
you
really have a
you think
feeling
Disney's
about
a lot smarter than they are, huh?
I sure hope so, because it would make a lot of sense and it would be awesome if they
If
actually
they
did it.
follow the comics, they
Just
are.
that scene though, like to go back to it
Well,
real,
yeah,
real
no,
quick.
of course.
That scene in the bar, Talos's energy, just the way his whole demeanor changes and everything, just like I lost my appetite, mate. Like
Yeah.
just fucking brilliant. Just the whole hand, just you could tell his whole body language had just changed in that very moment.
Yeah.
Seeing him, and it was just, it wasn't so much like angry to see him. It was just like, fucking hell, mate. I just want to finish my
Again?
food.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and they had
Exactly.
an argument
Again.
too. And then he's like, "You gonna come to me and ask for my help?" And then we just had an argument.
Yeah,
And he's
right.
like,
Yeah.
"Yeah."
He
so
did
I
sound
need
like a
your
little
help.
bit of an ex-girlfriend at that moment. though.
Right?
I was
will
just about
say.
to say, it's like me and my husband after we have a fight, and I'm like, "Can you please give me food?" It was just the food talking.
I will say though,
We're still
only
friends,
because-
right?
only because of their friendship, there's a possibility that was Nick. But I do know what you mean. That's a big thing for him to have to say out loud. Like that
Yeah.
really is.
And then to the next scene, I've already given out my one apology.
Apology.
Yeah, it's a great
Yeah.
line. It's a
Yeah.
great line.
That was so good.
I'm gonna
But again, I think it goes back to that conversation in the car where it's like, this is what we need. Nick has to have that like look at himself in the mirror moment to grow and to become better. So I think and also it's like there's sort of this idea that apologizing is weakness, but I think it's like to show its strength and like to show like, hey, you got to admit when you're wrong when you're on a team and work on that, right? And it's funny because Nick is in charge of doing that with the Avengers early on, but like it seems like he hasn't like really done that for himself, right? And so so I think it's just that's like a little like detail that I keep thinking about in the back of my head about just how this whole story really is going to be about Fury's growth. And so I think the character we get at the end is going to be completely different, which will also be interesting to see going forward. Not to get too ahead of like, okay, well then how does this version of Fury handle the Avengers? So
it's very Oprah moment right there.
Yeah.
Fury's growth.
Also,
as a fan.
There's also a different generation of superhero, younger, a little bit,
Right.
like,
It's more
so
the young, right.
that Gen Z sort of thing. So maybe he can sort of have that sort of emotional bond and
So
connection.
basically, he'll be a babysitter for the.
I want the Teen Avengers with Fury as the leader, and they're all just like on their phone the whole time. And him just like,
and they're like, "That's Cap,
right
Fury.
now?
That's
What is
Cap," and he's like, "Cap,
Yeah.
Cap."
he would just lose it.
Right. He looks to Peter for some like guidance or help, and Peter's just like,
quoting
taking a selfie or
Be like you last night in the group chat, Don. What's threads? What is this new technology?
what is this thread that you speak
What's a
of?
threads?
No, stop
I just wanted to
aging
see that
us,
moment.
darn it. Stop it.
Nah, I'm just kidding. I love all you old.
I
folk.
know. No, I just want that moment of Fury just having to deal with like a bunch of kids
Right.
TikTok and
Yeah.
being superheroes, and he's
That
just
would be
like,
amazing.
no, this is not.
Yeah.
Yeah,
For the W, Nick. Like, for
I
the
need that
black.
moment.
yeah. So we get that awesome scene in the car. I really enjoyed that where Talos was giving the whole writing the we did that wave, you know, and then and then when they stopped, he's like, all right, let's go in and, you know, take Bob hostage and whatnot and get what we need to get done.
Hey, Jason's girlfriend.
Hey, Haley, get what we need to get done.
Hey, Jason's girlfriend.
So that I can turn around and say that we did that. And I thought that that really linked in perfectly with like that dialogue was really, really good in the car. They went in, they might have messed up on the way because they're both, you know, two old dogs that you can't really keep down. They both made mistakes in that little mission there. And Gaia
I
obviously
love
got
when
them
he's
out
like,
of that.
my mission, my cover's blown. He's like, yeah, I can see it.
Yeah,
I love that moment.
No, but like
There's
the best
gunshots,
line,
we
though, in
know.
both of those scenes was like, "We're here." Like, why'd you stop? We're here. Are you done reminiscing about what we did so we can go do this?
Yes.
Yeah.
At that moment, it felt like a buddy
together is
cop
just
kind of
amazing.
vibe to it.
Yeah. Or a married couple. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
You together.
John bringing up the past.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're here.
Yeah. So guilty of that. But anyway, so they go in, they do that. Do you remember last week when you said this about me? You said my hair didn't look good. Oh, whatever. Anyway,
we're here.
again, Jamie.
Let it
anyway,
out.
so-
Jamie. Let it out. Don't keep that in, girl.
We get nobody said my hair doesn't look good. You're all great. We get that hostage mission. That was all good. And then we move on from that to Jace, do you want to talk about that funny scene with Sonia? And she's like, you know, I discovered a bug on my beloved Hoot's eye.
Yeah.
And he's like, please tell me that's not the name of your owl. And
And
she's
he's
like, it's not
anymore.
now.
Now it's Nicholas Fury, and she got a rather dashing iPad.
Yeah.
I love their whole dynamic of like, you can tell, one, they have extreme respect for one another.
Yes.
And two, they've obviously dealt with each other enough that Nick Fury, the Nick Fury that we know, can be personal with her, even in serious matters. Like, and it's just like, hey, okay, fine, your hands are tied. Can you get this and this for me? Sure, no problem. Sent your way.
Yeah, and they probably smashed too.
Yep, you goddamn know it.
Yeah,
You know she
spine
was
smash.
righto, cheerio. Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's why he put the glove on her.
What the hell?
You knew that's her owl.
You thought way too hard about that.
Yeah, you did go somewhere. I was like, let him go. Just let him
Yeah.
go.
Oh, he's been there, Tamika. I think
It's
he's
an
been there
R-rated
before.
show. Just let it go.
Oh shit. So that scene was really good. She says that she's had an infiltration of her own, which is obviously something else going on the sidelines there. And then they go to the hostage thing. They take Bob. They abort the mission, which is great. And obviously that reveals that Gaia is the mole inside Gravik's little power plant. So he tracks her down as she's making her escape and shoots her. So we see her bleed out, and return to her Skrull form, which usually means dead. Big blow up I'm expecting here. John, do you want to start us off with what you think about that?
I just thought that scene was really good because now you actually figure out, he figures out, oh, she's a mole. She's been working under Fury and them now because of the fact that she infiltrated the whole entire thing where she stopped the whole missile from happening, because that also winds up being where they're trying to split everybody in half, basically, with the United States to be able to fight over everything. So that's just one less thing. That's one more thing in the way of what he wants. So I thought that was pretty interesting. And then, of course, when he winds up shooting her, because I wasn't expecting him to really shoot her. And then when he does, I like how she goes, "You're not going to shoot me behind my back." Because he tells her to turn around. Because you're going to shoot me. You're going to shoot in front of me.
Right.
Yeah.
And that was just ballsy to me. It's like, if you have the balls to shoot me, shoot me.
Shoot me in
You
my
don't.
face.
Right.
Yeah.
If you don't, take your little green ass and turn your ass back
Go
around and
home.
get inside that fucking car because I'm
Yep.
gonna go my way, I'll go your
Yep.
way, and we don't talk about this
Fake
anymore.
Napoleon complex. Go home. Tell
See,
me.
I don't know. See, I took that scene before that where she's sleeping and he wakes her up and she, he's like basically talking about who could have done it, who could have ratted them
Yeah,
out.
that was at the start there. Yeah.
That
With
whole
Grove.
scene just read to me, I'm going to kill you. Like, I'm
Yeah.
going to kill you. Like, that whole scene, he was basically just telling her, no, I know it's you. Like, I
Right.
know it's you, and I'm
Yeah.
going to kill
Yeah, I
you.
think there was a moment. I think
Right.
when he shot her, that even he was shocked that he did it.
Yeah.
It was a very brief moment, but you could see the dilemma sink in his face.
Yeah.
And then he kind of tries to just brush it off and be like, "Nope, we did the right thing. Let's
Right.
keep moving."
Oh,
Yeah,
I don't think he
that's it.
wanted to kill her, but I think he knew he had to at that point.
Yeah.
I mean, he couldn't let her live after that.
But I definitely don't think. I don't think she's dead.
Oh, I really hope she is.
Really?
You hope she is?
I hope she is because I thought Emilia Clarke so far has not been great here.
I mean, I agree.
I don't know if that
also
and
don't want the character to
I
die
love
yet.
her. I love some of her work, but I feel like this wasn't the right character for her. Perhaps it
And this
feels a
was
bit
miscast.
yeah, it feels a bit flat to me. It kind of feels like she's the damsel in distress.
I feel like she's more in the background, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I thought it was just me. I just felt like she's more in the background rather than up front, even though that basically she's doing like little side tussles for Fury and stuff.
It
but
almost
yeah.
feels like they called in a ringer, like, "Hey, we need someone for a scene," and like it just doesn't feel like she's fully integrated into the world. I don't know, like maybe I'm
No, I
overthinking
agree.
or not seeing something,
It's
but like
also probably
Have all
really
of you
hard.
guys watched Game of Thrones? Is that what it is? Every one
Yeah,
of you?
probably.
yeah,
Yeah.
I've watched some of her other like smaller projects too, and like they've done okay,
Terminator, she
but-
was kind of flat.
Yeah, and but anyways, but like her character, I like the character. I wish the character would stay, but like it's like you said, John, like it just feels like she's not really involved. And also like to kill now, this would be the third death.
Right.
The third death that we've gotten. So to have that be taken from us.
I wanted that emotional attachment to that character.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be, to me, I think that her character is supposed to be a bigger role.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, we need you to turn off the power to the power plant. Okay, Nick, not a problem.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, I just got caught. Okay.
Yeah, I wanted to fall in love with her when that death happened, and when she dies, I feel more bad for Talos than anyone.
And that's what I think it's supposed to be. Is more
Yeah.
supposed to feel bad for him because when he loses it now, it's going to be like, oh, we understand why.
Yeah.
But I think you're right. It almost takes away from that because, like you said, we don't care about her.
Yeah.
So him losing it over her at this point, like you said, it kind of doesn't matter because I don't care if he kills them all for her. I care that he kills them all because he should kill them all.
Right. Yeah.
I think
and it doesn't. Sorry, go ahead, Tamika.
Oh no, I was gonna say I think this goes back to Jamie's point at the beginning, or maybe it was before the show, how this needs to be a longer episode because it feels like they compressed that character into like 6 or 4 episodes, and we can't really see any growth or feeling emotional.
It's hard when it's 6 and not 9.
Yeah.
No, I think that they should have had a character arc specifically for her. Like, show an episode of her getting attached to Nick and then how she worked with Nick and go up that way. Don't get me wrong, I love the dynamic between the James Bond type of feel to it with Fury's wife and everything. But really, we could actually sub that and put that in the middle somewhere.
Yeah.
And have the first 5-10 minutes set up just for her character to show where she came from.
I think we're going to get that this next episode.
I was going to say, I think
they're
we will
using
get
her
it.
death as a way to show a little more of her character and a bit more of her backstory, because we see how in the beginnings of every episode they truly do love to go back into the past and give a little more insight on either something that happened before or something that's going on currently. So I do think that they're using her death in this episode to start up the next episode with something going into her backstory more. And I think what it's going to happen is it's going to show the love that she had for her father. And I think it's going to show, hopefully, how it was tainted and it was turned against her into this whole manipulation pull with Gravik during it all. And like I said, I just think they're going to use her death to set that up. And I'm hoping at the end of it, she comes out alive.
I don't think you're wrong, but I think it would have worked better the other way. If this episode would have been that, and then the end is them having that moment and then him killing her. That might have worked too. So yeah, I think you're right.
Also,
I think you're probably right.
So we might not be. So okay, here's how I think about it. A lot of people say you're not invested in her character, and I completely agree. I do think she's flat and everything like that. But I think if they were smart enough, kill her in this one, then the start of the next one, you're like, what do I give a shit? They make you give a shit.
Sure. Right. Oh yeah. Right. Oh, it's absolutely possible.
They make you give a shit, and now. Yeah. That's how they start the episode, and then by the end of the episode or by the beginning of the next or final episode, you find out that she's still alive, and it means more to you and Talos that they have brought this character back. You know, Disney, come find me. I got your idea.
Oh, you just wrote it.
Jace is a Disney shill.
I think you guys are just
look at the Star Wars on the back.
Maybe you guys have a little bit of high expectations coming from like Game of Thrones and seeing her as such a really like strong representative character, whereas I haven't seen that. So I'm just enjoying the ride of her being a Skrull, and separating the two. And I really like you say you say that she's like flat and you can't get invested, but really she's been like in every part of this invasion, and it's really difficult. I'm going on the defensive here, but it's really difficult, as we say to Mika, in 6 episodes to introduce a character that we don't know. I mean, we met her as a child, sure, but we don't know, and have them be the complete focus of the show when the focus of the show is on Nick and is on the Skrulls. This is the exact same argument that I've just had with people about what do you call it? And Ant-Man's latest one, Quantumania. And then Guardians 3. They're like, oh, Warlock didn't get enough time. And it's like, you can't introduce these characters who aren't supposed to be the main focus of this. Sure, they can be focuses later, but the focus on this is introducing the Skrulls and the invasion of them. You know,
I agree with that. The only reason I would say that it's a little bit different for me in this is because they're going to try to use it as a motivation for Talos. So if you're going to try to use that as a motivation, you do kind of have to get the fans or the people watching involved and care about that person, because
I care about her because they have
that's fine. No. I just meant And like I said, I think Jason is right, and I think that could work. Yeah, I just think if they would have did it before, it might have been a bigger impact. But again, we'll see. I mean, we'll see.
To Don's point, I don't think that it's not. I get the connection with the father. I get all that. I just wanted to get to know her a little bit more, and that's why I really like John's idea of like, if you take 10 minutes doesn't sound like a lot, but like in 10 minutes, if you kind of get this background of how she got into that, because Gravik's cause isn't like insane. Like I could totally understand someone joining. So like, why did she join? You know, like what was her relationship like with her father that it got separated? Like, and like Jay said, I think we may get some of that going forward, but like to me, if we would have kind of led up with some of that and then we had a death, I think I would have been more like, oh wow.
Here's my argument to that. What 10 minutes would you have cut out?
Well, what John said, the spy thing and the background, that almost feels like I don't even know if you need that, but if you do have this relationship, I think it could have just kind of came later. Like it just.
Going off of what you said, they could have actually put that right when the wife is in the airport, going through a little bit of a flashback scene of 1998.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
And do it that way. That's just me.
I would have rather seen a flashback of Talos and his daughter personally, because it doesn't even seem like. I mean, like them just even hinting, having her go meet with Gravik at the end. I feel like that would have been enough. Where I've been like,
I don't think the connection is more like there. I don't think the connection is always going to be her and her dad. I don't think she really has any feelings.
And I think, Chase, if I can just connect my thoughts up to yours here, it's all related to the dad. I said last week that I think that Nick Fury is Gravik's dad in the sense of who raised him, right? When his parents died. They have that moment in episode 1, and we get that flashback of when, or episode 2 it was, when Gravik was introduced to Nick and inviting all the Skrulls to become human form. And Gravik and Gaia have this look like, okay, we're the babies, like they're children, and they have this look towards each other like we're one and the same. You know, these are our parents and we're the same. And I think that in the like little flashbacks that we might get in the future episodes will reflect on that, in the sense that they both had parents who loving parents who abandoned them in some way, shape, or form. There's been an abandonment and they've turned against their parents. And I think that's where the connection between Gaia and Gravik will come from, and they will show how that they sort of split from or distance themselves from their parents, and that's where that relationship sort of came from and where this hatred's coming from. But obviously, I'm hoping that we'll see a little bit more of that, but I think it's to do with that, and that's how they linked in. But I really don't want to see the relationship between like Talos and his daughter. Like, I don't think that's very important. You're saying you'd rather see that than with his wife, but I think his wife, I think that's like going to link in with more important things than Talos and Talos's daughter.
To be honest with you, I think we just need 10 or 15 more minutes, or maybe an extra episode with this whole series, which is what we said to start out. And that's like, you know, when we're looking at this, we're critiquing this. I don't think it's necessarily it's not a good episode or they made the wrong decision. It's more so, man, it would have been nice to get another episode or two, like where we could have really appreciated, because I think it's a little bit of a disservice to like that they even have to split that time, because I do think you guys are right, Jason and Jamie Lee, that I think it's not important enough where you need that full extra, but at the same time, it just adds to the whole world building. And this is a criticism I have of Disney in general, is I feel they rush the world building. And I don't mean like the larger, let's do spinoff and this thing. It's like they just need to take their time. And like the Kree Skrull War, that is huge. And I just don't think it seems like we're just going to rush through this. And I just think that's a disservice. We'll see what happens though.
Yeah, they rushed some series like how many episodes was Falcon in the Winter? Not Falcon.
That was only 6.
Falcon.
Yeah.
They rushed some episodes, and just like with WandaVision, that was like what, 8? So I know they're probably like testing it out and like, let's see how this goes. Maybe this will be good. Maybe that'll be. But I'm like, just be consistent, you know.
Yeah.
Just
make them all 8 episodes and just tell a good story.
Yeah. Even Miss Marvel, Moon Knight, Hawkeye, those are all 6 episodes. And it's just, and it's funny is like, I think people like those series, but at the same time, the criticism kept kind of like, you heard pacing, you heard it's moving too quickly. But I don't want to detract too much from the episode, but I think to me, it's almost more of a criticism of Disney than more of the storytelling, that they got to slow down. They really do. I mean, I know people are getting superhero fatigue and all this other stuff, but like, you really have some really interesting characters here, and we all love Fury. We all love all these characters in this, and it's like, it's a shame because I want to know more about her, but they're not. I don't know. I just doesn't seem like I have enough time. So
yeah.
I think part about all of it is we're all going to be wrong next episode. So
yes, you are.
I think we can all agree that we need extra time.
That's fine.
They're all Skrulls.
Right.
I'm a Skrull.
Jason's a Skrull.
Yeah, I'm a Skrull too. You see this background? It's not real.
Hilarious.
And then we get to the final scene where Vara, is that how you pronounce her name? Nick's wife goes and gets that phone call.
Vira, right? Vira.
Viagra?
Yeah, sure.
Viola.
Yeah, that's her name tonight.
Tyrone's other girlfriend, Viola Davis.
Yeah,
right. Yeah, Viola.
Anyway, somebody goes and gets that's her. Goes and gets a phone call and says, she doesn't. We don't hear what the phone call was, but she goes to the safety deposit box and picks up the gun, and then she gets the call from Rhodey, and she wants to speak with Gravik. So we know that obviously Rhodey is a Skrull, which we all assumed in last episode. But that links in with my thing. So what on earth is Fury's wife doing, wanting to speak to Gravik? You know, she must have some sort of contact with her, I believe, son.
Yes.
And it leads me to believe, back when I was talking about that at the start of the thing, I don't work for you, Fury. Like, I don't, yeah, something along the lines she said.
Mhm.
And it makes me think, is she betraying Nick? Is she
Yeah.
on Nick's side, or is she on
Yes.
Gravik's side?
Yeah, she is
And I'm
absolutely
totally
betraying.
paranoid.
Mhm.
My thing is this: what if she's on neither side? What if she's playing like a Captain Jack Sparrow kind of thing, where she's playing both sides?
That's
Mm.
gonna
See
be
which side
I don't
benefits
care about
her.
that enough.
No,
Like, pick a
I
side.
think
bitch.
she really, I think she really loved Nick, and I think he really hurt her.
Chill.
Yeah,
really
I agree,
do.
Don.
I
And
really
There's a lot of
believe her.
emotional damage.
I really believe her
with
in
that.
that. Now, again, she might have other motivations also that are helping that.
Yeah.
But
Hey-
I do think ultimately she loved him, and he hurt her. He hurt her bad.
Hey Don, I've done more for less. You know what I mean? Like,
I really do believe her motivation. in that sense.
Tell us more.
no, I agree. I agree. I mean, one quick thing I wanted to, like, just fun fact mention is, did you guys know that this was the first time they were saying that Rhodey and Fury were together? They were like, yeah, we like, we've mentioned each other in passing. Did you guys notice that just like throughout the
No.
MCU? Like, I was like, what? And they were like, yeah, we mentioned each other. Like, there's some sort of, like, sometimes the shot seemed like he's like, we've never worked together, which I kind of thought was wild, because I love their dynamic, and so that's why I couldn't even tell if that was a Skrull or not, because once I had heard that, I was like, maybe he doesn't like Nick.
Yeah, that's true.
I got you.
Because he was trying to relate to him. It's like, hey, we're two black men. We're
Right.
in
And he was like,
Brody's like, I don't care, fool.
I thought that was
Black man ain't part of your struggle.
yeah, right. I thought that was
That's-
such a great
yeah.
scene, because I think that's something people do.
Sorry.
That is something that people do a lot. They like sort of put people like, oh, all women, all men, like, and it was a good moment to kind of be like, dude, I don't fucking know you like that, you know?
Yeah, that's going down in my bios from now on. I ain't part of your struggles. Get out of here.
Put that on the shirt.
Volunteer to
Tamika. Put that
arrest
on the
you.
shirt.
You have, like,
I
a
know,
bunch of people
that
follow
needs to be
me.
on the
I don't
shirt.
want to.
You can tell. I have a book of one-liners.
Yeah, Tamika's got this list of all the things she wants on a shirt, and that's one of
Yeah.
them.
I don't even practice. I just
What day of the week is it today? I ain't part of your struggles.
Right, yeah.
Part of your struggles, fool.
Oh,
Make sure you
gosh.
put the fool on the end, okay?
Daily quote.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Monday.
Got it. Yeah, copyrighted. Got it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's great.
So does anyone else have any final thoughts on that that final scene there with her like betraying Nick, or maybe not? Like, what do you guys think about that? Don,
I just think it was more of, I honestly think it was just more of, like, I agree with you. I think it was more of just like, yo, I need to speak to my son. Put him on the fucking phone now.
Mm-hmm.
What the fuck is going on? Like, I feel like I think she might have had some kind of contact with him, but I don't think she understands the scope of everything that is happening and what is going on. Because obviously Fury's not telling her what the fuck he's doing back. And I don't think Gravik, if that is his mother, or he feels like that's his parent or whatnot, like, he's not probably letting him know, like, hey, I'm going to take over the world. Bye. You going to have lunch ready for me when I get back? Like, no, I think it's more of, you know, hey, I haven't heard from you in probably since your dad left. Where the fuck have you been?
He's having issues with his stepdad. So this is what this whole secret invasion is about.
Right.
You're not my dad. Here's the interesting thing.
And I
Here's
want
the
attention
interesting
from
thing.
my mama. Got it.
Nick Fury's adopted son just
Yes.
killed Talos' daughter.
And Talos is Nick Fury's adopted son.
As the world turns. As the
Things-
world turns.
Fury
I think
and
Talos is
are
older.
about to go
Talos might be
nuts.
the father in this.
Look,
Lord,
He's
why
the
not?
father. He's the baby
Why
daddy,
not?
actually.
You
Why
are
not?
the father.
Right? Yeah.
My.
Why not?
It's getting hot up in here.
Oh my
Well,
god,
Oh
that's
my
funny.
gosh, you guys are really
scene where
conspiring now.
everybody just turns into a scroll. Like everybody, like in the back,
Okay.
just everybody turns into a scroll. It's gonna be insane.
All right. While we're on the topic of that, right? I saw something and I put it up. I'm going to put it up on the screen in a sec. But it leads to this whole paranoia. Like I literally, after every episode, I sit there and I'm like, okay, so who's a Skrull and where does this link in with the past and where does it link in with the future of people Skrulls? And it really does play on my freaking mind. Hey, Tamika, like it gets to me. And somebody posted this picture up and I thought, oh my freaking God, like what? Okay.
I'm oh, sorry. It's a video.
It's not a video. It's a well, it is.
Still?
But
Oh, is it still?
there's no sound. So
Okay.
let's move forward. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
We all have a
is
cry.
he a Skrull? I knew
Extremely
it.
sad.
They're both
Here we
Skrulls.
go. Ding 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 ding. Who greets people like that? Who the F greets people like that?
Skrulls. So Black Widow isn't dead.
Maybe. That's where I went. That's where my brain went.
All right,
Oh,
now
no.
you're going.
Excited.
I don't know.
All right,
I think it's
I'm off the
reaching a
train.
bit. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's reaching, but I
Jace just goes, all right, dude. I'm off this.
Even he's pulling down
Hey,
his
you were with
conspiracy.
me last week.
there it is.
Yes.
Pepe. It's always Pepe.
Oh
Come
my
on,
God.
guys.
They've been
Why would
Skrulls
they
since
greet like that?
2012.
I don't agree with you on this one.
Why would they?
I don't
agree with you.
Cuddle.
Because-
Normal people cuddle each other. They
Listen,
don't go.
but they're
"Suck
not
head
normal
bump."
people.
That's
They're
the friendship
assassins.
and that's actually goes with the relationship at the Pan Budapest and
Yeah, they slept.
basically with them working together.
Yeah, they slept.
Like,
They're on a
that
crazy
left-
period about the one of them's about to commit suicide, and I don't think they're thinking about how they're supposed to be greeting each other.
Yeah.
I think that's just
I
a moment
just-
they had.
Well,
Hey,
I'm
listen,
on Black
okay,
Widow back,
real quick.
motherfuckers.
Our
Hey,
busy Aussie family.
Well, I'm telling
Hey, Jones, dog, with the
It's
Our
sweater.
busy
Jamie
Aussie
Shaw.
family sent you a picture.
It is
apparently.
time
I
for
need to see
Jamie
the
shot,
picture.
everyone. Okay. We got to settle down, Jamie.
Put it down. Put it down. Is this the same shot that Sonia gave the guy, like the terrorist guy? Because I don't want it. I don't want to burn up.
Oh,
Are you gonna go down the butcher hatch or?
Oh,
There.
God.
Yeah. Anyway, I just want to throw that out there. So that
You're- Okay, your friend, our busy Aussie family,
sure.
sent you a photo. I need to see this photo. Who the fuck is this Paul Rudd lookalike?
She did. She thinks it's John. And I can't screenshot it because when I
Oh my God,
I'm
I'm
feeling
done
good
with this.
about myself now.
I'm done
let
with
me
this
tell you about
episode.
this book.
I just needed to know. I'm
Oh,
sorry. I was
John
over
does
here
not
like
look like-
dying. I'm like, because it's
Delusional.
definitely like not Don.
No,
No.
definitely not me.
I was like,
I've just realized this. I always thought that John looked like somebody, but I've never made the connection until now. Doesn't John look like Paul Rudd? And she's got a
No.
picture of John and a
Hey, be
picture of
quiet.
Paul.
I see
And my
it.
response,
No, I see it.
Absolutely
my
not. I will not
response
let it
is
stand.
no
I
way.
see
Does not look like Paul Rudd.
I will not let it
No
stand.
I
way.
do see it.
Don't
I mean, at my
tell him
moment,
that. He will
I'm
get a
feeling
big
good about
head.
myself now. I feel
Let
part of
John
GQ
cook.
magazine. I
John-
was sexy
John
man
is
alive.
riding
Okay.
high right now. He has never felt before.
You know what? That's gonna be in my bio.
Mm-mm.
A
Yeah,
Paul Rudd lookalike.
No, No, you got to say Paul Rudd variant.
Yeah, variant. Yeah.
Hashtag please hire me for events.
It's like that's why I say I always tell people I look like Christian Bale, but I never tell them what movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
To be safe.
Show the comparison photo. I can't because when I screen share at the start when I set it up, it lags my computer, so it freezes it. Me and John went through this earlier when I had to get that one clip up there, which means that Black Widow's not dead. Just saying.
She is dead. You were absolutely wild on this one.
Oh,
You have
God.
so
Let
far.
me have
This
it,
is the
Jace.
third conspiracy theory you have presented. You are
Have
2
it.
for 3 with me.
The
This
third.
one,
Oh my God.
no, I can't get behind this
That's
one.
just 3
at
of the
all.
many that are up here. No,
Counting your
maybe
theories.
not.
Fool me, can't fool me
Maybe,
again.
maybe not.
Oh,
We'll
she
see.
said they said they'll put it on the community page so John can see it, but he's not. Paul
Okay,
Rudd.
it's definitely
Yeah.
not Paul Rudd. We don't have him on the panel, unfortunately. But
No.
by all means, Paul,
Yes,
if
you do.
you're watching,
No, you need to change your
Come
name
find
to,
me.
to Paul Rudd.
Mhm.
John ain't higher
Run
than
it.
Paul
We'll be
Rudd.
right-
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Just ain't
Hey,
higher.
he was sexiest man alive a couple of years ago on GQ. I feel
No,
good about
they
myself.
just gave it to him.
No, they
Yeah.
didn't.
He's smoking. Oh, anyway, sorry, I'm getting off track here.
Okay,
Thanks,
let's
Tammy,
get
for
Not
diverting
Paul
us.
Rudd.
Yeah, and our minds to Paul Rudd. Thanks. Is there any final thoughts that you guys want to say about this episode to close up?
I don't think it was a strong. There's one of the stronger episodes, but it was a great episode. Still, I did enjoy it. I don't have any issues with it. It's just sparked more questions, which I think a good episode should do.
Out of curiosity, just like as a poll panel kind of thing, because I realized you saying this, Jamie. I haven't really been thinking like who's a Skrull, who's not a Skrull. I've been just sort of watching it.
Yeah.
But I was curious if anyone else
we all
kind of
know
has.
what my mind is like, Tyrone.
No,
don't worry about anything that I've said on the panel. Okay.
Yeah, no problem. I was just curious of like how else is everything, and is anyone else watching it? Because I guess the only thing I've been really wondering is like, when is Talos and Nick Fury just gonna get to that next level? Like that's just been like my main focus.
Every scene I am like questioning if
everybody is a Skrull right
like,
now.
Just the way that they, I think the way that they set it up beautifully is the scene where Gaia gives him the phone.
Yeah.
And like you just see like Gravik is following that guy, but then you see the dude on the phone right there, a couple of feet away from Gaia, and you just are like,
John, you all right.
This man.
Honestly,
do this, do the shrug. Be like, man.
Oh god.
Be like, man. Do that.
Oh god.
No family resemblance.
Look what you
Yeah,
did,
I think
Tammy.
that. So like
Look
just
what you
that
did.
scene where you can see that they can literally just change into anything and anyone and just blend into the surroundings behind them. I think you have to question who's who. Like
that makes sense.
You gotta be like, well, who haven't we met that isn't a Skrull? Because honestly, I feel like just about every single character we have been introduced to has been a Skrull. If like the two people that have died so far haven't been Skrulls.
Is Olivia Colman's character the British woman?
Well, she's got a really big grudge against them, so
I was
more
gonna
than
say
likely
she wants
not.
to kill the Skrulls. Yeah, I don't think she's one, but everybody else is suspect. I'm telling you, man. Every time I watch, like Jason said, every time I watch a scene, I'm like, wait a minute, he wouldn't say that. I don't know.
Yeah. Which is why
when he shouldn't have. He's a Skrull.
No, which is why Jamie said that Black Widow
is dead.
Guys,
Black Widow
Henry
is
Cavill can
dead.
come back, and Black
You
Widow
just
can come back.
No.
This is not Oprah Winfrey.
Cavill
This is not you get a
we were
car, you get a
introduced
car,
to
everybody
is
gets a car. That's
is
not
a
what this
Skrull.
is.
Scarlett Johansson is not coming back. Disney will not
She
take her.
needs to come
She
back.
actually has a
Apologize
project
now,
that's gonna come out
Disney. I'm
with
sick of your
Disney. Thank you
mess.
very much, sir. I'm
She ain't
sorry,
coming
guys.
back.
This is just it's my personal
sorry. I put
feelings and
myself
my
in
hurt.
time.
Yeah, my trauma coming out, and I just can't
No,
get over some
don't
things,
hurl
and that's
your
one of
trauma
them.
my
I get
way.
you. T'Challa's gonna come back too.
Fool!
Fool.
Don't include me in your struggles.
Yeah. Not part of your struggle,
Great.
fool.
That was
Just
so
when I
great.
thought you had my back, Jason, then you go and turn on me like this. That's typical Skrull behavior.
That's what
All right.
Skrull
Any
are.
other final thoughts, John, Tamika, Don?
They're all Skrulls and they deserve to die.
Exactly.
That's a bit extreme.
That's pretty much sums it
That's
up.
kind of a Samuel Jackson rule. And I hope they burn in hell.
Motherfucker.
All these
Lordy.
motherfucking scrolls on this motherfucking screen on this
All we
motherfucking
gotta
channel.
bring it back to Samuel
Yep.
Jackson quotes. Go ahead, John. Paul Rudd. I'm
Yep.
sorry. Go ahead, Paul.
I didn't mean to.
Not Paul.
I'm good.
You
Oh
good,
my
Paul
God.
Rudd? Do the shrug. Man, do that. No, do it like the face.
Lord.
Man.
Oh Lord, Tammy, look what you've done to my friends. Tyrone, where's that freaking needle where you want to put people down? Come
Yeah,
on.
I know.
Oh,
Yeah,
man,
it
that's
might
too
be
great.
time. It might
Yeah,
be.
think
That's
it's
too
time.
Oh, that needle should
All
have
right,
came
let's-
out when I got on this show.
Let's jump back on our wave, on our train, whatever you want to call our thing. Let's get back on freaking some
Okay,
sort of
sorry,
track,
John.
whether it's the wrong side or the right side. Let's just get on it.
Thank you.
We're on the track of John Paul Rudd. Would you
Paul
like
Rudd.
to share what's coming up on your channel? What's coming up? Where can we find you?
Well, I'm glad you asked. So I'm going to be dining with Kim Basinger. We're going to be having some drinks over there. I'm
You're a
going to be in a new
Where's the
movie
mute
with her.
button? Where's the mute button?
You're a liar.
Okay, so
Came out, it's
okay,
here.
so tomorrow morning, I am going to be interviewing somebody at 10 a.m., and that is going to be chatting with a veteran film editor, Alex Williams. He has basically has a little project and stuff like that he's been developing with his production company. So we're going to be talking about that. Then I also have. Hold on, looking at my schedule. Give me 1 second. So then I also have the same.
You got a full schedule now. Look, this Paul.
You got a full schedule and moving
I'm
up
doing the same thing I did to you.
I need to book him in for the next panel.
Paul Rudd is a busy man. Go ahead, Paul.
Okay, so
Do I need to reschedule you, or how can I book you in for the next
I can
appearance?
pencil you in. I can pencil
Yeah.
you in for next week sometime.
Go ahead, Paul. Go ahead, Paul.
okay, so I actually have Anthony coming on my show from ACS Universe, and my best friend Kyle from third grade. We're gonna be reviewing The Sandlot at 8 o'clock Central Time, 9 o'clock Eastern Time, and that, of course, will be on July 10th for that one. And then on the 17th, I'm going to be reviewing Night Shift, which is Michael Keaton's a film that we're going to be doing with Made for TV Movie Podcast with Beth. And then I didn't mean to make you yawn. I'm sorry, Jamie. I know I'm
really
such
tired.
a busy person. I know I'm a great
Do
actor.
not do that to Paul.
I'm sorry, I didn't
But
think
look,
that.
but I also have one other thing though too that I'm doing on Friday. I won't be here with anybody because I'm going to be reviewing Benny and June with Heidi at 8 o'clock Central Time, 9 o'clock Eastern Time for that. But I will be back to be on Jamie's show the following Friday, which will be
Will
her
you?
Saturday.
Have I approved that yet, or
Yeah.
It'll be
I
done.
would
If you
not.
want
I
views,
would
if
not.
you want Paul Rudd to show up, you have to deliver.
All you gotta do is have Tamika show up.
God, this Paul.
Yeah,
Rudd
I
thing is
thought we
like-
replaced you
man.
with
We're never
Yeah,
gonna get
I
it
was
in.
supposed to be your replacement, Paul.
Yeah, and then suddenly he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna come, Jamie." Like, okay, thanks for my
Tamika's here. I have to
Get
come.
outta
It's
here.
time for Paul to show up.
Wow.
All right, let's
Wow.
move on from Paul.
Eye
I've had enough.
rolls. Eye rolls.
Tyrone, what's happening over on your channel, and where can we find you?
I am always making silly shorts, funny videos. I like to mix a little bit of comedy, sketch, humor thing on my channel, but I always relate it back to movies. Sometimes I'll just spit out some reviews. But I think I may have an early screener to Mission Impossible. So I think I'm going to put that out, and so that'll be my next big thing. So, but yeah, I'm just on YouTube. I'm on the internet being silly and ridiculous. Thanks for having me, as always. And you folks are fantastic. I hope to come back next week. Hopefully I get an invite. I know Jamie Lee's pretty big time, so it's,
Too big time.
you
I
know.
love you.
Big time. Why the fuck are we here?
I was gonna say, we couldn't be here.
Oh, because Henry
What is
Cavill.
your hate out
Damn.
there?
Excuse me. Excuse you.
This corner over here.
Okay, I was saying
Jason.
we as in me and Don, because
Yeah,
Don
no,
and I
yeah,
definitely
Yeah,
are not
we'll
big
talk
time.
about you too.
What about you, Jace? What you got going on?
Well, we are down here in the multiverse of geekdom, Don and I. We have Gaming in the Multiverse is going to be coming out in full force on Thursday nights. We have Friday nights is Jedi Academy, where Don is teaching me a lot of things. He's going to be teaching me Mandalorian culture this week.
Oh shit!
Well, according to people on our channel, though, I'm not allowed to talk about Star Wars.
Yeah, so we might get a lot of heat for that one, guys, because apparently Don actually is not a Jedi Master. He's
Apparently
actually a worse Padawan than I am.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's about pretty much all we got going on. And Titans of the Turf season 2 is definitely going to be in full effect. We are starting working on the scheduling and everything this week. We are going to be discussing it and getting it put out for the viewers.
Man,
That
you
sounds
guys,
great.
I followed you all on Instagram and YouTube and stuff, but I definitely want to get more into Star Wars. Like, one of my best friends is like, he's just a nut, but it's like he's so heady that sometimes I'm like, buddy, reel it in. Let me like talk to me. I gotta baby steps, and maybe we can get Jamie Lee to come on a panel and watch a couple things.
I'm 3
More than
deep,
welcome.
and yeah. Anyway,
You're 3 deep. Okay.
Wait, whoa!
Yeah.
all right. Anyway,
Horrible turn there.
Yeah.
My
Anyway, I've
lord.
watched 3 Star Wars. Let's put it like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
And,
Tamika has work
It's not a good strategy, Cotton.
and watching some TV shows and apparently being on you guys shows here and there, paying some bills. I think that's all I got going for myself.
That's a
All right.
good selling point, Tamika. We'll take it.
I know, right?
We will take all of you. You can check out everybody's channels. I'll put the links in the descriptions after this video so you can check them all out. Be sure to go and subscribe to them. Thank you to everybody who has joined in the chat. And thank you to everybody who watches after, because I know a lot of people watch after the fact. So I appreciate you guys. Make sure you leave a comment to let us know what you think about Secret Invasion. And thanks for stopping by, and we will see you in the next video. Okay, bye.
Bold strategy,
Yeah.
Cotton.
Bold strategy.